when you hear whispers circulating around the league, the kind that feel more like late-night locker room conversations than official statements. This is one of those moments that grabs attention. The rumor going around is that JALEN MAYBIN has been opening up privately, almost confessing to close friends and former teammates that leaving the Bears might have been a decision he rushed emotionally rather than calculated strategically. The tone of these alleged conversations is not dramatic or bitter, but reflective, almost heavy with the weight of hindsight. People close to him say he speaks about Chicago as a place where he felt understood, where his role, even when limited, carried meaning beyond the stat sheet. In this speculative narrative, he supposedly talks about the locker room culture, the bond with teammates, and how the city itself embraced his blue-collar mentality. The regret is said to come not from money or fame, but from identity. As a YouTuber would tell it, this feels like the classic story of a player realizing that sometimes stability and belonging matter more than chasing the next opportunity. It is not about blaming anyone, but about that quiet realization that some doors, once closed, echo louder than expected. Another layer of this rumor suggests that MAYBIN's regret is tied deeply to how his role evolved after leaving the Bears. The speculation says that in Chicago, he felt like a Swiss Army knife, trusted in multiple situations, valued for intelligence and effort as much as raw athleticism. After moving on, the story goes, he found himself searching for that same sense of trust, that same unspoken understanding between player and coaching staff. Sources, at least the imaginary ones fans love to quote, claim he has mentioned how in Chicago he never had to look over his shoulder because he knew exactly why he was on the field. That clarity, according to the whispers, has been harder to replicate elsewhere. From a narrative standpoint, it is almost poetic, the idea that a player leaves thinking the grass is greener, only to realize that the old grass was already watered with respect and opportunity. As a storyteller on YouTube might emphasize, this is not a knock on any new team, but a reflection on how rare true alignment can be in professional sports. The speculation becomes even more intriguing when you consider the emotional side of the move. Rumor has it that MAYBIN underestimated how much the Bears' environment shaped his confidence. In Chicago, the story goes, he felt empowered to play freely, to make mistakes without fear, to grow organically. After leaving, that comfort supposedly gave way to a more cautious approach, where every snap felt like an audition. If this rumor holds any weight, it paints a picture of a player who realized too late that comfort can be a competitive advantage. As a YouTuber would frame it, this is the human side of football that stats never capture. It is about waking up on game day feeling like you belong versus feeling like you're constantly proving yourself. The regret, according to this narrative, is subtle but persistent, like background noise that never fully fades. It is not about wanting to undo the past, but about recognizing what was lost in the transition. Another angle floating around fan circles suggests that MAYBIN misses the leadership dynamics he experienced with the Bears. The rumor says he valued veterans who guided him without ego and coaches who communicated with honesty. In his reflections, he supposedly compares that environment to others where roles are less clearly defined and communication feels transactional. This is where the speculation turns philosophical, almost reflective of a broader truth in sports. Sometimes a player thrives not because of scheme or salary, but because of the people around him. As a YouTube narrator would lean in and say, this is the part fans rarely hear about, the behind-the-scenes chemistry that makes or breaks careers. The alleged regret is framed as an appreciation for something he once had, not resentment for what he has now. It is the kind of realization that comes only after stepping away. The rumor mill also connects MAYBIN's feelings to the city of Chicago itself. According to this speculative tale, he felt a unique connection with the fans, who appreciated effort as much as excellence. He supposedly talks about how playing for the Bears felt like playing for people who understood grind and resilience. Leaving that behind, the story goes, created a sense of emotional distance he did not anticipate. For a YouTuber telling this story, This is where it gets personal, because City's imprint on players in ways contracts never show. The regret here is not loud or dramatic, but quiet and personal, tied to memories, routines, and relationships that do not transfer with a new uniform. Finally, the first part of this rumor-driven narrative suggests that REEVES Maybin's regret is less about wanting to return and more about learning. He is said to view his time with the Bears as a benchmark, a standard he now uses to measure every new experience. As a storyteller might say, some chapters only reveal their value once they end. The speculation frames him as a player who has grown wiser, more self-aware, and more appreciative of fit over flash. Whether true or not, this rumor resonates because it feels real, because it reminds fans that even professional athletes wrestle with decisions, doubt, and the lingering question of what might have been. As the rumor continues to circulate, the second wave of speculation dives deeper into how REEVES Maybin's alleged regret has shaped his mindset moving forward. According to this narrative, he has become more introspective, more deliberate in how he approaches his career choices. People close to him supposedly say that leaving the Bears taught him a lesson about patience and loyalty, about understanding that not every move needs to be a leap. From a YouTuber's perspective, this is where the story becomes cautionary, almost like advice disguised as gossip. The idea is that REEVES Maybin now weighs culture, communication, and role clarity as heavily as any other factor. The regret, if we believe the whispers, has matured into wisdom, turning what could have been a bitter feeling into a guiding principle. This framing makes the story compelling because it shows growth rather than resentment, reflection rather than complaint. Another rumor suggests that REEVES Maybin occasionally revisits memories of his time with the Bears when facing challenges. In moments of doubt, the story goes, he thinks back to how confident and comfortable he felt in that environment. This mental comparison allegedly fuels both motivation and melancholy. A YouTube narrator would describe it as that old highlight reel playing in your head, not the plays themselves, but the feelings attached to them. The regret here is emotional, not professional. It is about missing a version of himself that felt fully unlocked. According to the speculation, this has pushed him to seek that feeling again, to recreate it wherever he goes, even if it can never be exactly the same. Another speculative angle focuses on legacy. REEVES Maybin is rumored to have thought about what his career story could have been if he had stayed with the Bears longer. Not in terms of numbers or accolades, but in terms of narrative continuity. The idea is that he saw himself as part of a larger story in Chicago, a role player who embodied the team's values. Leaving interrupted that arc, and the regret comes from wondering how that story might have unfolded. As a YouTube storyteller would say, fans love continuity and players feel it too. This rumor taps into that shared longing for what feels unfinished. The speculation also touches on how REEVES Maybin talks about advice he would give younger players. Allegedly, he uses his departure from the Bears as an example of how important it is to truly understand what you are leaving behind. This transforms the regret into something almost altruistic, a lesson passed on to others. From a narrative standpoint, this adds depth, showing a player who has processed his feelings and chosen to grow from them. The rumor paints him as thoughtful, reflective, and honest about the emotional side of career decisions. In the end, this entire rumor, whether grounded in truth or amplified by fan imagination, resonates because it feels authentic. The idea that JALEN REEVES Maybin regrets leaving the Bears is compelling not because it promises a reunion, but because it highlights the human side of professional sports. As a YouTuber would conclude, this is not about contracts or headlines, but about belonging, identity, and the quiet moments when players look back and realize that some chapters mattered more than they knew at the time. As the speculation stretches further, the imagined third chapter of this story leans into how REEVES Maybin's alleged regret quietly influences how he carries himself day after day. The rumor suggests that he's become more vocal internally, more aware of the importance of expressing what he needs to feel comfortable and productive. In Chicago, according to this narrative, he never had to fight to be heard because communication flowed naturally. After leaving, the whispers say he learned how silence can slowly drain confidence. From a YouTuber storytelling angle, this is framed as a subtle transformation, not something fans see on television, but something felt in meeting rooms and practices. The regret is portrayed not as sadness, but as a sharpened awareness, a constant reminder that environment shapes performance more than talent alone. Allegedly, MAYBIN now pays closer attention to small details, like how coaches speak to players or how teammates support each other. This rumor paints him as someone who learned the hard way that comfort is not weakness, but fuel, and once you experience it, you never forget what it feels like to lose it. Another layer of speculation suggests that MAYBIN's reflection on the Bears era has made him more nostalgic than he ever expected. People close to him, at least in this imagined version of events, claim that certain routines trigger memories, from pre-game preparation to casual locker room conversations. The story goes that Chicago represented a simpler phase of his career, where expectations were clear and pressure felt manageable. As a YouTube narrator would dramatize, this nostalgia does not trap him in the past, but it colors how he views the present. The regret is described as gentle but persistent, like background music that fades in and out. It is not about wishing he never left, but about realizing how rare it is to find a place where professional demands and personal comfort align so naturally. This rumor resonates because it mirrors how many people feel about former workplaces or chapters of life that only gain value with distance. The speculative narrative also dives into how MAYBIN's leadership style may have evolved because of this regret. Allegedly, he now tries to recreate the supportive atmosphere he once experienced with the Bears by being more intentional with teammates. In this version of the story, he checks in more, listens more, and tries to be the kind of presence he once benefited from. A YouTuber would frame this as growth born from loss, the idea that regret can inspire better behavior rather than bitterness. The Bears in this rumor become less of a destination and more of a blueprint, a reference point for what a healthy football environment looks like. MAYBIN is said to carry that blueprint with him, even if he knows it can never be perfectly replicated. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Another rumor floating among fans suggests that MAYBIN's appreciation for Chicago has only grown with time. The story claims that distance softened any frustrations he once had and amplified the positives. In hindsight, according to this narrative, he sees the Bears as a place that maximized his strengths and accepted his limitations. This realization allegedly fuels the regret because it highlights how rare that balance is. From a YouTube perspective, this is where the story feels deeply relatable. Many people only realize the value of a good situation after stepping into something less familiar. The rumor frames MAYBIN as someone who now understands that growth does not always mean change. Sometimes it means staying put and building deeper roots. The speculation also explores how this regret influences MAYBIN's relationship with fans. Allegedly, he speaks warmly about Bear supporters, emphasizing how their passion made even routine moments feel meaningful. This imagined admiration adds emotional weight to the story, suggesting that he misses being part of a community that felt personal rather than transactional. A YouTuber would highlight this as proof that fans matter more than they realize. In this rumor, the regret is tied to connection, to the feeling of being embraced by a city that values effort and resilience. It is not about spotlight or praise, but about mutual respect between player and fan base. Ultimately, the third part of this speculative saga reinforces the idea that MAYBIN's rumored regret is not a weakness, but a sign of emotional intelligence. The story does not end with longing or disappointment, but with understanding. As a YouTube narrator would wrap it up, some teams leave a mark that time cannot erase. Whether or not these whispers reflect reality, the idea that MAYBIN regrets leaving the Bears resonates because it speaks to something universal. Sometimes you do not realize you were exactly where you needed to be until you are already gone. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.